we're going to try to use those paired conjunctions in some of the answers in the questions that I gave you. Okay? Any questions so far about housekeeping or business? Okay. All right. By William Shakespeare. What might we be able to infer or guess about the character of Caesar, just looking at the statue, the face? Yeah, Isaiah.
He's old.
Okay. Hopefully not like Mr. R, right? Okay. Anybody else? Yes, Nathan. Oh. Student number 2.
Yes, sir.
Student number, yes.
He looks kind of angry a little bit.
Okay. Maybe a little intense there. All right.
It looks like he could be very tightly organized and strict and very orderly in how he wants things done.
Maybe very disciplined individual. Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
He looks like white European.
Okay. Yeah, we know that he was from where? Greece, right? Okay. Very confident. Okay. All right. I was thinking maybe poker face there a little bit. Okay. All right. Okay, so repeat direct characterization.
Direct characterization.
Okay, he was exceptionally bright, well educated, and well read. So, what is direct characterization? We know who he was. He was a bright, well educated, and well read man. So, very direct there. Okay, so we have direct and indirect characterization. You'll see the indirect in just a minute here. So, in literature, we usually have a conflict with the characters or something within the plot, storyline. Look at this picture right here. Could we guess what might be the conflict there in ancient Greece? Or sorry, did I say Greece or did I say Rome? Ancient Rome. Yes.
Their child, he did something bad.
Okay. Okay. Does this look similar to maybe what we have, the structure in the U.S.?
Oh,
The House and the Senate. So this is the original Senate here, okay? And this is some oratory, so someone has the floor. They can try to persuade and move for their point. So maybe the conflict in Julius Caesar has something to do with somebody's personal agenda. Here's our book right here. Yeah, this one's the No Fear Shakespeare, which is kind of nice. It's on the right side is the British English version, and then on the left is kind of a North American English translation. So I don't believe they're going to have this text.
No, but
Yeah.
with this class, if you want to buy a copy with the No Fear Shakespeare text, I wouldn't mind if Mr. Rader doesn't mind.
I don't mind. I have that one myself. So, okay. So, what can we infer about the rising action, climax, and/or resolution in Julius Caesar? So, usually in a plot, there's some action that's rising, building up to something. The climax is the high point. Oftentimes, the hero defeats the dragon, right? Okay. And then there's a resolution after, right? He goes off into the sunset with the princess, right? This is the kind of the classic. Okay, sounds a little bit Disney, all right? But looking at the cover, they say we can't judge a book by its cover. Let's try to judge a book by its cover. What might be the rising action, climax, and/or resolution in Julius Caesar? Yes.
Sort of building him up into this persona he's going to be bringing up as this historical feature is showing in like the history books and all that. And then how he's like going down and how like betrayal sort of cuts him because of the knives in his back.
Yeah, the knives in the back there, that might be what here? Yeah, that might be the high point, yes.
Wasn't he stabbed 23 times?
You know, I'm not sure the exact number, but a significant number of times to make sure that
by his like own group of people, right?
Spoiler alert. All right, that's good. Resolution. What might be the aftermath of that, what she was saying?
Order.
Yeah, some type of new, it could be a new order or a return back to a traditional order. We're not sure there. Caesar was, he was, what was his title? President?
Dictator, right?
Yeah, he might have been in a way a dictator, yeah. But what was his title? Emperor. He was emperor. Okay. Did you ever see the movie, what was that movie with Maximus, the gladiator? You ever see Gladiator? Remember they had the emperor in that one? Okay. What do we know about Shakespeare? Have you guys ever been to the Renaissance Fair? Raise your hand if you've ever been to the Renaissance Fair. Only one person. Wow. Okay. Yes.
Shakespeare, he was a poet, but he was also a playwright. He did many things, other plays, Romeo and Juliet. I think he also did Macbeth.
Sure.
Yeah.
What's his most famous work? And is regarded as his best play? Hamlet. That's correct. That is correct. Okay. All right. And you can see his attire here. What time period?
Renaissance.
Renaissance. English Renaissance, not the classic Italian Renaissance we usually think of, right? Gentlemen, can you imagine wearing a collar like that? Okay. All right. A little bit out of style these days, right? Okay, so repeat indirect characterization. Who's this? What archetype?
Isn't Joker's?
Joker. A jester.
The jester or the fool, the joker maybe? Yes. So, could you read that quote right there? Let's see here. Any volunteers? Yeah.
A fool thinks himself to be wise, but a wise man thinks himself to be a fool.
Okay, so we don't, unlike the direct characterization, what could we infer or guess indirectly based on that quote by William Shakespeare? What could we say about who Shakespeare is as a man?
That he knows that he's not perfect and how, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe humble in his human existence. Okay. All right. Anything else? Okay. Globe Theatre. Oh, I remember going there when I went to London. Anybody been to London before? No London, only one person from Renaissance. Okay. All right, so Globe Theatre, what was happening here during the times of Queen Elizabeth? Yes.
They would perform plays there,
Okay.
and then it was shaped that way because the more powerful you were, the higher up you sat. And if you sat, like, or you wouldn't be able to sit down if you were closer to the stage, you'd have to be forced to stand because that's where most people who were in poverty or who the poorer people were. And they would always like stand there and watch the different plays.
Okay, and they had both actors and actresses?
No, it was mainly actors consisting of 7 to 10.
Okay, right, so only male actors performing those plays. Why so?
Wasn't it because they believed that women like, couldn't act well, I think, or something? It
Yeah,
wasn't really that, it was more of the whole, like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was a different time period. Just think of that collar that Shakespeare was wearing at that time. Maybe maybe more patriarchal at the time. It could be also that women hadn't fought for their power. But you know what was ironic was who was in power in England at the time. So no women are allowed to be actresses, but who's in power at that time? Queen Elizabeth, right? Okay, so repeat parallel. Allegory. Okay, so here's the question. Was there a parallel or allegory behind Shakespeare's work? So at the time, Queen Elizabeth was getting very elderly, and she did not have a successor to take over the throne. Okay, so a lot of theorists have said that perhaps Shakespeare created Julius Caesar to kind of reflect the society there at the time. Now, was he doing it politically or morally? That's an allegory. That's a good question. You might know that Shakespeare was kind of a favorite of Queen Elizabeth. And in fact, he was called the Bard of Avon. So he was, in a lot of ways, a national poet. Now, you know who this gentleman is without his top hat right here. And then who's this gentleman? I don't know if that's proper. John Wilkes Booth, who assassinated Lincoln. Now what's ironic is Booth played in Julius Caesar. He was an actor. And what else is kind of interesting is that at Ford's Theater, that was a theater, he did assassinate Lincoln. So question is there a parallel here as well? What genre was Julius Caesar? What's that? Melodrama, okay. And in drama, oftentimes there's what?
Death.
Yes, tragedy. Okay. All right, so we have the repeat protagonist. Antagonist. Okay, so I think we might know who the protagonist, antagonist. Who's the antagonist here? Right here. And protagonist. Okay, so the question is the hero always the protagonist? Okay, can you think of any books or movies in which the villain is actually the main character, the protagonist? I haven't seen that. Oh, Public Enemy. That's good. That's the one with Johnny Depp, right? If you're talking about movies. Yes.
Megamind.
Megamind. Oh, that's great. My son loved that movie. Good, good, good. Any others? Did you ever see Fight Club? Maybe not. It's probably a rated R movie. You guys are 16, right? Okay. All right. Tyler Durden. Okay. And then our last slide, what are possible themes in Julius Caesar? We know, repeat, theme. We know that's the main idea of the work. In this case, it's a play. Okay, so if we're talking about Julius Caesar and all those slides we just looked at related to Julius Caesar, what might be a possible theme there? The main idea of the play. Okay, maybe assassination or murder. Anything else? Think of the Senate. Yeah.
I didn't think about that. I have a different one.
Sure.
The betrayal of power.
Yes, betrayal. As you'll see, very good. Anything else? Okay, yeah, power struggle as well, perhaps. Okay. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to get with a partner right next to you. If you do not have a partner, get with somebody across from you. You can have 2 or 3. Here's what you're going to do. I want you to think about these terms we kind of looked through here. Pass those back. Okay? And relate them to night, our previous unit. So there's a set of questions here. Take a look. Okay, but a parallel, think of a parallel like this. You ever heard of a parallel universe? Like in another universe, you have another you. Okay, so what would be something parallel or similar in society that kind of reflects what happened with the Nazis and the Jews? Could be, yeah. Could you think of another thing that might be parallel to that? Will, that inner strength, exactly. Yes.
Right number 6, hidden political social meaning behind this monster.
Yeah, so allegory, yeah, so think of the, well, you can think of the Star of David, but think of the swastika. What did that represent politically or morally?
So what it represents?
What's the hidden meaning?
Because originally it was like one of like it was more of like a religious following, and it meant it was a symbol for peace. But then I know he took it and he turned it into his own thing.
That's political.
Yeah,
There you
so
go.
it would be mainly telling him that like it's basically peace for his people, but not peace for anyone else.
Right, and if it's not peace for anybody
for
else,
utopian
what
society.
might be what might be masked by that particular symbol? What's his agenda? His hidden agenda?
Is
Just to
trying
kill all the Jews.
Yeah, which means what? What did he think of the Jews? Superior, on the same level, inferior?
They were
inferior.
Okay, so a hidden political meaning would be what then? Something like,
He thought that the Jews. He thought that if he liquidated the Jews, then he would have enough food for his people. And
okay,
Have enough support.
so hidden meaning could be the liquidation or genocide, right? Could also be discrimination too, right? Or superiority conflict. complex. You know, there's a lot of things that could be there. Yeah.
We don't really understand question 7.
Okay, so 7, what historical and or contemporary parallels can we... So remember, think of parallel lines. So you have the Holocaust and the Jews. What's something similar or parallel happening today or in the past? Now, what did you choose for your genocide project?
The Trail of Tears.
Oh, okay. So is the Trail of Tears, could that be a parallel between, could there be a parallel to the Holocaust? Yeah. How?
Because at the end when they did the death march,
Exactly. Yeah, right? The Trail of Tears was the same thing, was the death march, right? Okay, that's good.
Throughout the story, I think Elijah.
Yeah, how are you guys doing here? Torres?
Oh my
I'm not
God.
supposed to see your name. All right. Yeah, how we doing here? So, what did you have on number 4? Are you discussing these with him?
Yeah.
What did you guys come up with on 4? Protagonist, Eliezer, and the... Okay, that's good. Okay, and you guys finished? Okay. And how you guys doing? Don't work on that yet. Okay. Don't work on the backside yet. That's going to be something independent. Let's come back together. Okay, and then what was our last one there? What were the rising action, climax, and resolution in night? Rising action? What was that one? Remember, rising action is that building to the climax. Anybody have an idea there? Yes. Getting what? Oh yeah, definitely. Remember, they evacuated them, resettled them, and then they got them on the cattle cars to Auschwitz and those things. So what would be the climax then in the story night? The high point or the rising action to the maximum? Think of Eliezer and Eliezer's survival and the survival of the Jewish people. Yes? Death march, or just after the death march, right? Who rolled up on the scene or came in to save that camp? Remember? Actually, it was the Americans, but the Russians were with the Americans too. In the night it was the Americans. But okay, and then what was the resolution? What's that?
Liberation.
Liberation, freedom. Okay. Now we did see Schindler's List as well. What was the resolution in that one? Do you remember the end of the movie? With the candle and that kind of thing? Remember the candle? It was lit after the war was over. Okay. Maybe back to freedom. Something like that. I think we just said that, right? But out of darkness is what I'm going to say. Out of darkness into the light again. Okay? All right, put that one away. Actually, don't put it away. Flip it to the other side with my drama masks. Okay? Here's what you're going to do. Grab a computer, and I want you to research. I don't want you to start with Wikipedia. Try to go with some other sites first before Wikipedia, because sometimes that's a little too comprehensive. You have to sift through too much. Maybe an encyclopedia might work, like Britannica. Go ahead, come on up, grab a computer, individually research these questions on Brutus and Caesar, who they were really. Okay, let's do it. Yes. You need one too. You can have mine. All right. And I want you to do this individually. Nathan, okay? All right, make sure you're doing it individually. Make sure you're writing complete sentences too. What about, is there another?
My keys are not coming out.
Or you can use your phone. You guys can use your phone. Did you get one?
Keyboard if you want to use it.
Okay, there we go. You guys are with us? Okay. If the website gets blocked, go to another one, Leo. Oh, you guys are waiting still. Did you guys get booted up? Okay, good. Yeah, just what you can do is just put part of the quote or something like that. Remember ellipsis, the dot, dot, dot?
Yeah.
So just do an ellipsis on that, that's fine. Yeah, you don't need to write the whole quote, just do the ellipsis, the dot, 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 the key information, all right? Does anybody have any issues with getting quotes or anything with the research? Okay, so have you started? Okay, Jake, let's keep going. Yeah.